Alright guys, now I want to touch on some important things to keep in mind when you focus on losing fat. Now these are very important, they're also going to help you. Now losing fat, obviously we just touched on cardio. Use cardio as a tool to help maintain that number. So if you go over, use a little bit of cardio to bring you back down to your number. It's about hitting your number consistently. You can do cardio every day, but you shouldn't be overeating every day just to do cardio to bring you back down. Like I said, use it as a tool. But it's a tool, it's not the goal, essentially. So, probably one of the most important things, satiation. Now, what is satiation? Well, feeling satiated is basically feeling full. You need to eat high volume foods that make you feel fuller longer. So, a great example of that would be a big salad. Now, there's a lot less calories in, greens or a salad, but you get a lot more volume in your food. It's important to keep things like that in mind. If you go eat, McDonald's fries, you might get a small little fries. There's not that much volume in those fries. There's not that much surface area of fries to, actually eat those foods, and you're getting a high amount of calories for that small amount of food. Now, it's still going to be the same relative calories, but if, let's say hypothetically, this symbolized the, let me find a good example of this. What would be a good example? All right, we'll use this. So this little pen symbolizes the amount of calories, or 200 calories worth of fries, right? Well, this entire box, my girlfriend's box right here, would symbolize, the amount of calories in a salad. So you get to eat so much more for the same amount of calories. Now that's not always gonna play a part in the things that you choose, but if you choose more voluminous foods, greens, things that are lower in calories, vegetables, fruits, stuff like that, obviously within reason, you still wanna hit your calorie goal, you still wanna hit your macronutrient goal, but they can help you feel fuller longer because you're eating more, and it's kind of psychological in a lot of ways. So satiation is key. On top of satiation, a way that you can stay satiated too, that I didn't touch on, is protein. The more protein that you eat, the fuller you will feel, because your body, it takes a little bit longer for your body to break down the protein, so it'll be in your system longer, thus making you feel fuller longer. If you eat something quick, like a fast-acting carb, or even bad fat, that's gonna, obviously your body takes a little bit longer to burn fats, and that will make you feel, fat will make you feel satiated longer as well, but you won't feel as full, and that's something to keep in mind. So, another great tip is fiber. We talked about this in I believe it was 2 lectures ago, or it might have even been, it was last lecture. So last lecture we touched on the fiber in the protein bar. That's great because the more fiber you eat, the more full you will feel, the more satiated you will feel. Fiber is also a tool that you can use. Now I'm not going to get into how much fiber I recommend. Typically speaking, most of us are lower on the fiber scale than we should be. So I recommend as much fiber as you can get in per day, obviously within reason. You don't want to go too high. You shouldn't be eating like 50 grams, 60 grams of fiber a day every single day. But typically speaking, the more fiber you get in, roughly on, just to the overall public, the better, because the fuller, the fuller you will feel longer. Also a very, very cool tool to use when you're losing fat, because I promise you, when you first start losing fat, a lot of people think the diet's hard in the beginning and then you get going. It's actually the opposite. Trust me, I've cut a million times. The lower, let's say hypothetically over here, you're at 2,000 calories on your diet, and then you revisit this, you stop losing weight about 4 weeks later, and you realize that you're redoing your maintenance calories, and now you're back down to 1,800. Well, guess what? 2-3 weeks later, you might be down to 1,700. I guarantee you are going to be feeling a lot lower energy and a lot hungrier all the time the lower you get, because that's your body. It's your body's defense mechanism to survive. It's going to make you feel that that hunger feeling more at the further on you get and the leaner you get in your diet, because that's just human nature. So, like I said, it's going to be you're going to feel a lot more hungry the lower on your calories that you are, and that's just normal. The longer on your diet, the more hungry you will be. So, use fiber as a tool. On top of that, water. Water will make you feel, just stay hydrated, guys. The great thing about water, and this is something I also want to talk about that I didn't write down, is watch your fluid intake. A lot of people will drink sodas. They'll focus all this great energy on food and consuming the right foods and hitting their goals with their macronutrients and their calories with their food, but they don't focus on what they drink. They're not focused on, taking in the calories through drinks. There are calories in soda. There are calories in 90% of the stuff that you're gonna look at and drink. Any juices, any Gatorades. People think like Gatorade's healthy. It's actually not. Yes, there's electrolytes and it can help rehydrate you, but there's calories in a Gatorade. There's carbs in a Gatorade. So pay attention to that. Also, water is 0 calories. It's one of the best things. It's the best thing that you can drink. It also gives you energy. It makes you stronger. It gives you, better lifts in the gym. It gives you more stamina. A lot of different things. It's gonna make your skin better. On top of that, random little fact there. Drink water, guys. It'll make you feel fuller, longer, and obviously help when you get a little bit more closer down here. The more water you drink, the less you'll feel like you need to eat. A lot of times when you feel hungry, it's actually your body's your response. It doesn't necessarily know any better. Your body can't distinguish between is it thirsty or is it hungry, and so a lot of times you'll eat when you're actually thirsty. Drink your water. Last one, fasting. Now this is something I'll touch on briefly. A lot of people that I know of, and I've tried it before myself, try intermittent fasting. Now there's a common misconception with intermittent fasting. I'm not going to get into the debate of whether or not it increases testosterone, it does this, it burns fat, it activates all this, crazy stuff. My opinion on fasting is this. It's a tool. Just like cardio, it's a tool to be used. Now, whether or not you want to argue that it increases testosterone for a certain period of time, it does this, it does that, I just view it as a tool. At the end of the day, like we touched on before, it's about the basics. Go back to the basics. So if you want to lose fat, guess what? You got to be in a caloric deficit. If this is where your calorie maintenance is, you got to be lower than that to lose fat. If you're trying to build muscle, guess what? Your caloric maintenance, you got to be in a caloric surplus. You got to be higher than that to build muscle. It's pretty simple. Now you can build muscle and lose fat sometimes for some random examples. I'm getting a little off tangent here, but for 99.9% of the people, you won't be able to do that. So use fasting as a tool. One way that a lot of people do it is there's 24 hours in a day, right? Break that down into 8-hour windows, so 3 8-hour periods. And obviously one of those 8-hour periods you're gonna be sleeping, so you don't necessarily have to worry about that. The next, so maybe this is like, we'll just say this is like 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's an 8-hour window. Then you're gonna fast from this second 8-hour window, so from 6 a.m., what's 8 hours, so 10, so that would be 2 p.m. I think I did my math right. Yeah, and then this is your eating window. So this window right here, you can't necessarily eat whatever you want, but you can eat whatever your calories are that you calculated for that. So if you're recommended to eat 2,200 calories to lose weight, well then you can eat all 2,200 calories in this window right here between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. in that 8-hour window. That's intermittent fasting in a nutshell. Now you can break it down to a longer fast period, a shorter fast period. It's just a tool at the end of the day to help you along your goal. Some people find it's easier to fast throughout the morning, because for a lot of different reasons, because they can eat bigger meals, they can enjoy bigger meals and feel fuller for that 8 hours. Then they know they just have to fast back till 2 p.m. They can't eat in that window. So that's something to keep in mind if you want to try intermittent fasting. I recommend it. I've done it in the past. It's not for me personally. I like to eat little meals throughout the day and kind of continue to eat little meals, but that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people that swear by intermittent fasting, and it really, really works for them. If you want to implement it, use it, utilize it to your advantage, but remember, it's not like some magic. It's just a tool at the end of the day. So those are the keys to keep in mind when losing fat. In the next lecture, we'll jump in some. Whoa, I can't talk today. I apologize. We'll talk about some keys to keep in mind when you're building muscle.